right, and we should be live. Okay. Hello,
All right, good
everybody.
evening.
We'll be beginning at the top of the hour in about 5 minutes. We have somebody new on the team. I'm very eager to have you guys meet him. Bill Noble, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, all right, here we go. Okay. Hello, Guy, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. Bobby H, welcome back. Yes, we're back again, right? Welcome to Crypto Slowdown. This is an AMA weekend show where we go through technical analysis. For today, we'll be focused mainly on TA, right, with Bill Noble. Some weeks we also cover technology as well. Today, Paresh is off, so today we'll be doing TA, and for about an hour or so with Bill. Then we'll dive into some AMA questions you guys may have. Hey, Captain Ahab, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. So for those who are just joining, we'll be taking questions via Mentimeter. Just go to menti.com. That's MENTI.com and use the code 154607. That's 154607. And we'll be taking your questions. This is going out to the Token Metrics YouTube channel, also my old personal YouTube channel, Diary of a Made Man, to Twitter, to Facebook, Periscope. Also gets turned into a podcast. Hey, Yusuf, welcome. Alice in the house, nice to have you on. Thank you, guys. Okay. All right, let me just make sure I'm getting all the questions in. How's your day been, Bill?
You know, I'm doing great.
I'm doing
great. A lot of news to catch up on, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm working hard. Lots of things to talk about in crypto for sure.
Yeah. So we're actually talking earlier with Bill about how the capital markets are going to have an explosive opening. Something like that?
That's right. Right. So, you know, the events of Saudi Arabia, when you take down an oil facility, you know, that feeds two central distribution points in Saudi Arabia, you know, that's pretty serious. So we're going to need to talk crypto and oil and stocks, and we're going to have to do it kind of in the dark before the market opens. So,
yeah,
you know,
okay,
nothing like a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Hamid. Hello, Simon. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys on here. Okay, we'll be starting in about 1 minute. Bill, can you briefly turn off your desktop and just kind of have your camera on for your intro? Just stop presenting the screen for a minute.
Okay, got it.
For a few minutes. Okay, all right. Yeah. All right, guys, welcome to the show. This is Ian Bellina. This is Crypto Slowdown. We have somebody brand new on the team, Bill Noble. I'm very glad to have him here. He's gone through a very extensive interview process, and he comes highly recommended by people like Charlie Shrim as well. So, Bill, welcome to the team.
Ian, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
All right, so for the world, just kind of give us a short intro on yourself.
All right. So, yes, who is this guy? All right, well, I started in markets all the way back in 1991. I was an intern on JP Morgan's currency desk, and it was August. And they let one of the junior traders go on vacation, okay? And then all of a sudden, when everybody thought nothing was going to happen, Iraq invaded Kuwait in August of 1990. And that was the biggest event. That was the biggest event in markets since the 87 crash. And here I am, this 18-year-old guy stuck in the middle going, oh my God, I was a junior Swiss franc trader at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So after that ungodly market volatility, I was like, I don't know how anybody navigates this. How do you handle it?
How was that feeling during that whole, I guess, chaos that was happening?
You know what? It was frightening. This was the pre-Excel era. So we had to keep our positions by hand. So my trader didn't know if he was long or short unless I kept the handwritten record done.
That's amazing. Fascinating. Because
Yes.
I've met some traders who still keep track of their cost basis by hand in a notebook.
Yes, and when you have to do it quickly and the market is gapping, things were getting thrown around the room. It was a real interesting experience, and it was so chaotic that when it was over, I went to the technical analyst on the team and I was like, can you show me can you help me? Because I can't imagine navigating volatility any other way but TA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that started a career where I eventually got hired by what's now UBS out of college. I did a tour of duty at the futures exchange for the bond market crash in 94, 95. So just to put it in perspective, back then, the long bond yielded over 8%. All right. So I became kind of a crash expert or a wild market expert, right? So Morgan Stanley hired me in 2000 because they didn't know how to deal with what was going on in dot-coms.
Oh, the dot-com era.
That's right. All right. And, we did so well that my team got hired over by Goldman. And, I made my name over there when the research departments, didn't know what to say necessarily, at least not quick enough when things went crazy. So then in 08, 2010, 2011, I built this broad distribution list of readers inside and outside Goldman. Okay. So moving on down the road, I got a phone call from proprietary traders, hedge fund guys, and they said, listen, you got to take a look at crypto. We want to see what you did in equities when things were volatile, and we want to see it for crypto. Okay. Well, I said, absolutely. All right. So I started to apply, some techniques that go all the way back to the start of the 20th century, stuff that people make fun of me about it. The more they make fun of me about it, the more I continue to do it. Okay.
If it works, it works, right?
It works. It has great value in conjunction with TradingView. And I just applied it to crypto. Right. So I did some work with Charlie Shrem. I have just been on the crypto roller coaster with everybody else over the last 2 years, all the way up, all the way down.
Yeah.
The work is still tracking, right? It's still tracking. And I'm able to take, like I was in currencies and bonds and stocks. So the good thing about me is I can pull all of those things together and talk about crypto inside of that. So not just X coin and Y coin, but how does
having that perspective.
Yes. How does crypto fit in the world of investing, right? Everyone gives crypto a hard time. Everybody reads crypto Twitter, but me and you are making a whole new level of research by looking at crypto along with other markets. So we're looking to share that with the viewers on TV today.
Awesome. I'm very excited. I definitely know how skilled you are, and very eager to see how everybody else is going to kind of see and learn from what you have to offer. Hey, Nick, welcome. Thanks for watching the show. Hello, Chuck. Hello, Chica. Forever. All right. So once again, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please go to our Mentimeter at menti.com. That's 154607, 154607. All right. And thank you for that intro, Bill. Okay. So let's go ahead and basically kind of have you give us an overview of the market, kind of maybe start from top all the way down to Bitcoin. Right, because you mentioned how what's happening in the Middle East could affect everything that's happening, even in crypto.
Okay, so let me do it without a screen share first, because everyone looks at the screen. So let me talk it through. Okay, so imagine you're an equities portfolio manager. Okay, so these people control huge amounts of money, right? So if crypto market cap is a golf ball, equities is like a basketball. Okay, that's how much bigger the equities world is. So these guys, they're sitting around watching football and they go, oh, there's been an event in Saudi Arabia, okay? where some people backed by the Iranians took out, you know, a good chunk of their oil producing capacity. So I've heard oil could be $10 higher or it could be $20 higher.
Yeah.
We don't know. But I know if I'm managing a portfolio of stocks, am I feeling warm and fuzzy after this news? Certainly not.
No, no way.
Certainly not. Okay. So equities portfolio managers are probably having a meeting just like we are right now. Okay. And they're going, what can we buy? What can we own to make our portfolio safer? What can we do to get a performance kicker? Right? In other words, if we put 2% of our money in something and that something goes up a lot, we might look like heroes, even if the whole world's falling apart. Because again, you can't have the Saudis and the Iranians going at it, and you can't have the US and the Chinese going at it and that not boil over, right? And kind of kills your warm and fuzzy. And don't forget, folks, what time of year is it? September and October, okay? Weird negative things can happen during these months in stocks, in capital markets in general. Okay, Lehman, all of them, October 87, October 97, all of them. This time of year is when they actually got started.
Why this time of the year in particular?
Well, I think what the equity market does is it builds a dream, it builds a story throughout the year. Right? People come out of the summer and they go, okay, now what should we do? And that's usually when there's some sort of a surprise or someone goes, oh my God, I have to protect my year. You know,
Okay.
It's tough to summarize the entire history of the equity market, but you know, if
it's
you
kind
were
of
kept
like
on
being it's kind of like being in the third quarter and you want to protect the lead. You don't want to mess up when you're about to cross the finish line.
That's right. That's right. And, you know, there's also, this is when the fear and greed line really meets, right? Like, do I go for it into the end of the year? Am I behind? So speaking of being behind, you know, Bitcoin's gone up a lot. And an equities portfolio manager might get asked a question at the end of the year, gee, how come you didn't buy any Bitcoin? The Yale endowment did, right? Lots of other big players did. How come you didn't? And then this gets even more interesting if, you know, equities could go up, down, sideways. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a lot of fun after these news events. Institutions, in my opinion, they got to buy Bitcoin by the end of the year. Like last year, the issue was, oh, I got to get out because of tax loss selling. So there was like 3 months of, oh no, everyone's going to have to get out. And then this year, I just flip it around. This year, it's what happens if everyone has to get in. Now, this is a theme. So if your attention span out there is like 10 minutes of day trading, you know, you might want to wait until the equity market open. But I think big picture, people are going to need to come to crypto.
Very interesting. So you're saying towards the end of the year, institutions will have to get into crypto and Bitcoin to hedge themselves. And basically, if other people are making money and they're not, they'll be grilled on that.
Right. It's you know, if the guy next door is doing it, then I have to be doing it. Right. So if everyone's 60-40 portfolio, 60 stocks, 40 bonds isn't really doing well, the guy that puts 2% of his money in Bitcoin, okay, if Bitcoin goes to 15 or 16,000, he's going to look like a star.
Okay.
And I'm thinking the number.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking the number of people that may come to this realization. Like, for example, if the market opens up tomorrow and Bitcoin and Ethereum are stable, then somebody might look at it and go, gee, these things are stable. And I think it's going to slowly bring people to the realization that they're going to need to get involved.
All right. Now let's segue into Bitcoin and maybe doing some TA and where you think it's going from a granular perspective all the way to macro and long term.
Okay. All right. So you want me to pull up the chart for that? Or you want me to do that off the cuff?
On the chart.
All right. We'll do it on the chart. Okay.
All right.
So let me get to that.
Hello, Carl. Thanks for joining the live stream. Gandhi as well. India wants crypto. Yeah, I mean, from speaking to people I know in India, other investors, they've told me the rumors around the regulation there are not true. That India is not planning to ban crypto or hasn't banned crypto at the moment. All right, so now Bill is presenting the screen, and here I see we have Bitcoin USD pair.
All right. So let's start with the chart. Let's start with the big picture. So there's two ways to look at price in crypto, right? You can look at, support and resistance horizontally, okay? So, and you can look at it diagonally. Now, in English, that means a lot of times people draw trend lines and things like that, and I find in crypto that hasn't worked as well. Something in TradingView it's this strange thing called Fibonacci speed resistance lines. All right. So what you're looking at is I click this point, and these lines all fan out. Okay. And I found that what works in crypto, other than your basic horizontal lines, are these type of indicators. All right. And then I also put up.
Sorry, that's called Fibonacci trace or speed something. What'd you say it was called?
It's called Fib speed resistance lines.
Fib speed resistance lines. Okay.
Fib speed resistance fan. Okay. You can see it there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I draw these lines, and then I take a look at how the market performs at each of the lines. All right. It's kind of a subjective process. So I drew them off the big top in January, right? That was when people were like, okay, I'm getting out. And then there was the total despair at the bottom in December. Okay. Now, what we see here at this top line is we've seen one attempt and two attempts to get through this top line, which comes in conveniently at a big point of 11,000. All right. Mm-hmm. And then the red line, this one, is a moving average. Okay. So let's call it a variation of the 50-day moving average, even though it's a 2-day chart. All right. So here is how I'm putting all this together. You have a moving average at 10,400, right? That's kind of where Bitcoin is sitting.
Yes.
Right? And I think if Bitcoin can just sit at 10,400 and be stable, okay, it's potentially bullish, right? Every time you see these dips down below, or if it can't hang on to 10,400, for the trading community, it's more neutral. All right. Now, if it holds 10,400 or hangs around there, or breaks through 11,000, I know that's kind of Captain Obvious, but if that happens in this environment, I think what you're looking at is this, which a lot of people are probably drawing as a triangle, which is fine. All right. It's a consolidation for a spring this way, right? In other words, I don't hear a lot of people saying Bitcoin's going to 20,000 by December. Yeah, I didn't hear a lot of people at 7,000 saying it was going to 14. So big picture, that's where we are in Bitcoin, right? You have that big picture where people who don't normally do Bitcoin may have to come to the market. And then we've got this and a couple other styles of analysis that point to 10,400 and 11,000 as levels to watch, right? All right. Now, as with anything in TA, all right, you have to discuss risks to your view, right? So the view is if it sits or breaks out, go with it. Now, if that's what should happen, right? Mm-hmm. And for some reason it doesn't, right? In other words, anything that should go up and that doesn't go up may go down. So I guess if stocks and all risk assets, that's like the jargon, go down, that could hurt Bitcoin too, theoretically, right? I mean, it could happen. So looking at the chart, I mean, if things fell apart and this really started to falter, the next fib line that matters is right here at like 7,500. Now, I've heard a lot of colleagues and a lot of guys on Twitter say that, they think like the long-term juicy buy point is 7,500. And here's why I don't think it goes down there, like I said, because there's too many people who, catch this key word, have to buy it. They don't just want to buy it. They have to.
They have to.
Right. So if there weren't all these people that had to buy it, 7,500 would be more possible to me. But again, so it's crypto. I want to stay humble. Everybody uses this emoji, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But I think we're approaching a world where people are going to need Bitcoin as an investment. And that's the most important thing.
Now, these people are mainly institutions, right? Not really retail per se.
Well, I think the big institutions are out there. Okay. They're the big buyers that have to do it. I think the general public is going to want to do it, because if the general public sees things blowing up on television, they see their stock portfolio not doing well. I mean, really all it takes is a new high in Bitcoin. I mean, Coinbase does have, right. I mean, Coinbase has more customers than Charles Schwab, right? So, all it takes is one big splashy headline and one big negative event in equities or geopolitics before people go, hey. Like one thing we wrote on TradingView is a lot of people don't notice the rocket ship move up in 2017 started right at the middle of September. Oh, wow. It's kind of the two-year anniversary right here in the corner, bottom left of the rocket move up. And in my opinion, markets love symmetry. So, I acknowledge that there are risks. I get it. It's crypto. We all know. Anybody who's been here, whether you've been here for 5 years, 2 years, or a day, we're all in the same brother and sisterhood. It's the brother and sisterhood of volatility. So that's how I would give you the big picture on Bitcoin.
Okay, very interesting. So pretty much it's going to be, so if it stays around 10,400 or goes past 11,000, follow the trend. If it goes below that, then it's going to around 7,500.
That's right. I mean, if you see, we all know what a definitive breakdown in Bitcoin looks like, right? If it starts falling apart, it could go to 7,500, but I don't think that's the likely scenario. What I do think is likely is that a move of substantial magnitude is coming in like 10 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. If anybody has any questions on Bitcoin, TA, definitely feel free to just comment and we'll try to answer them as well. We also do have the Mentimeter. We are taking questions from there. We'll get to those questions more towards the end. All right, continue, Bill.
All right, so I'm going to move over to Ethereum. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So Ethereum, if there are Ethereum fans out there, I know a couple. I'm actually kind of one of them myself. It's been a depressing year, right? It's been a depressing year on the side of the road. Now, however, if you consider that, Ethereum is considered an altcoin, I want to point out a few things. So some simple things, Ethereum bottoms down here at 80 and it goes up, right? And then it retraces something like 3/4 of the move, like 75%. Now, again, that's depressing, but that's actually very natural, especially if you have a major bottom for something to go way up and then retrace 3/4, right? And then everybody goes, oh, I give up. And then that's when bigger trends, and again, more probabilistic in Ethereum, big trends can start. All right. So if you look here, all right, this red line is, an important moving average. Okay. And Ethereum is also at a big, we call it a Fibonacci level. Okay. So basically it's gone up and the jargon is it's retraced 62%. And these lines are these horizontal inflection points that I was talking about. So don't be scared away by the jargon. in this case, we're simplifying it for you, and that 190 is an important level in Ethereum. And if Ethereum can burst through and actually show something positive, then that could be good for not just the crypto space, but the alt space as well.
All right? So alt season can possibly start once Ethereum takes off past 190.
All right. Well, I'm glad you used that word. I wouldn't use the term alt season until next year because, again, the tax loss selling problem could appear in the overall alt space. But what I call, the high quality stuff, which is like Ethereum, Litecoin, Cosmos, the higher market cap stuff could actually do well. Because think about this year, right? First you had alt season, right? And then you had Bitcoin season. But that Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, that whole middle of the pack never had its day in the sun. All right, so let me take you to this chart, which I think is really interesting. Okay, this is total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. Okay, now check this out. So this is basically the market cap of everything but Bitcoin, right? And here was an inflection point in September of last year, okay? It broke below that point and fell apart for, 6 months. And then it got back to the same point in May, and what did it do? It took off, right? So that's when we had Litecoin leading the way, right? And then, of course, alts and big coins have all fallen back down. And guess where we are? Right back to where we were in September. Again, another one of these September inflection points. So
very interesting.
In English, if you've got everything except Bitcoin on technical support, okay, this is a 2-day chart. So this thing's been building a base here since the middle of August. So we got like a 30-day base. And there's a saying in charts, right? The bigger the base, the higher in the space, all right? It's catchy for TV and YouTube, all right? And a 1-month base in crypto is, it's not a long time in equities, but a 1 month in crypto might as well be forever. So again, this sets up a situation where, there's this green line here, that fib speed line, okay? And, we're popping through it, right? It's green. So this makes me think that your Ethereums, your Litecoins, if there's another move, they're going to participate, right? And a lot of times in equities, right, you'll have like small caps and tech rally first, and then the big stocks like Dow and S&P will follow later. So I'm looking at this going, hey, there's an event happening. People may come to crypto and check out what's happening in the market underneath Bitcoin. All right.
Interesting.
So
now one question I have. So I see you have 2 different methods of doing TA for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Can you kind of explain the method behind that, the reason?
Sure. So TA is always a search for what's working right now, right? So I don't have a black box system that I use. So, I guess you could say I like to draw, right? So I'll draw diagonal lines, both on a computer and by hand, and say, what is the market reacting to? And then I'll go from there. And Ethereum, it's a little bit simpler because, it's been kind of dead. So I decided to keep it simple. And I just said, okay, well, is it dead? Or has it just done a normal up and down? Now, if you're going to chart or check a normal up and then correction, that's Fibonacci retracements, okay? So I'm always looking for anything I can find diagonal, and I'm always looking for anything I can find that's horizontal. All right. Okay. So in this particular case, the diagonal was more interesting in the Bitcoin, and the horizontal was more interesting in Ethereum. But the overarching theme is, what points does the market seem to be reacting to? So here's an example. So in Ethereum, here's this level at 190 to 62% retracement, right? What are they famous for? What's crypto more famous for than agricultural commodities were back in the 80s and 90s? They're famous for running all the stops, for flushing everybody out. And if you look right here in Ethereum, that's exactly what happened, right? Here's the horizontal line at 190, right? Everyone gets flushed out below it. All the stops get run. And now look what it's doing. It's coming right back above it, okay? So when I talk about looking for things that are horizontal, that's an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay. Now, based on that, can we say that Ethereum has bottomed or not yet?
No, we can't say that yet. I would love to say that, but we can't. And here's why. You see this cluster, right? So frequently what has to happen is markets have to like clear that congestion zone that occurred right before that final heave lower, right? It's where buyers go, okay, you know what? We're back where we were before we blew up, and I like it so much, I'm getting in. All right. So when I say Ethereum's got to clear something like this in this area around, you know, between 190 and 200, and of course, 200 is a psychological number, we had to clear that. We got to clear it. And then you can say, oh yeah, let's go. Right now, if Ethereum is above 190 or if Ethereum is above 200, and you ask me the question, is it bottomed? I'm going to be like, yes, go with it.
Okay.
It hasn't paid to buy strength in any of this stuff all year. So I'm not advocating starting right now. But if we're aware of the themes and we get the price action, I'm trying to set our viewers up so that they can act. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have a comment from King Nick. He's saying he likes the fact that you're looking at the 2-day chart. Not too many people stick to a higher time frame data. So that's a nice comment from him. Maybe can you kind of speak to that in terms of why you're using the 2 days?
Okay, so there's a twofold answer. One, as our reader said, not everyone's doing it, right? So at you know, technical analysis is everywhere. It's on Twitter, but we'd like to do work. I like to do work with the 2-day chart just because not everyone looks at it. Okay. The other reason is, believe it or not, one of the guys I studied from the earliest 19th century, his name was William Gann. He used 2-day charts. He kept them by hand. I have daily charts that I keep by hand. I'm not as motivated to do the 2-day, but I think looking at the 2-day gives us a really unique picture.
Okay. Yeah. And then Punit is saying, why is Ethereum market not going up? I don't think we really know. I guess it's still getting flushed out, right? People don't really have faith in altcoins right now in Ethereum, right? Any comments on that?
Right. Sure. And the answer is nobody has to buy, right? In other words, if you wanted in on ICOs, as we were talking about before this, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted in, you had to get involved in Ethereum, right? Now, institutions have to get involved in Bitcoin because they can do so through the futures contract, right? Ethereum doesn't have the vehicle where like the Yale pension fund can get involved. Now, that doesn't mean it won't happen or that people can't get excited about Ethereum or they can't announce something in the future. But that's why Ethereum isn't as exciting, because institutions have to own Bitcoin and they have to use the futures contract to do it.
Right. And there's no, yeah, I agree, right? I feel like the biggest use case for 2017 to 2018 Ethereum were ICOs, initial coin offerings, and that bubble has popped. And IEOs now are being done by exchanges, and we've seen the mini bull run with the exchange tokens, right, being some of the best performing, actually the best performing altcoins this year. So I feel like they've kind of taken Ethereum's thunder, and now people are just waiting for Casper Casper to launch and for Ethereum 2.0, which seems to be quite a long way. Right now, there's even more competition with other really good projects coming out like Blockstack, Telegram Ton, Facebook, Casper Labs. So the competition is getting more heated. I still believe in the technology. The technology is fundamentally sound. It's just the TA is not good, as we see here.
Right. The price action isn't great, and here's another view. Here's another way to look at it. You know, if you think about fiat, right? You know, what do you have? You have the dollar, you have euro, yen, sterling, Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. Okay, you have, you know, China and Russia. That's like 5 to 7 fiat currencies. Okay, Bitcoin is not going to be the only cryptocurrency people use. Well, remember, Ethereum is not a security. It's already been cleared by the Securities and Exchange Commissions. It's a currency. Now, I know the technology, everything that you've said is totally true. But if somebody wakes up one day and goes, I need a different form of money because an oil facility that I can see from my house just blew up, Ethereum becomes something that they might consider, which is why we're still tracking it and you know we're doing TA.
Okay, so speaking of that, let's talk about China. How does, because China, the whole trade wars with China and America and even Hong Kong, how is that going to possibly affect the markets?
Okay. All right, so that's a big question. So I think I like keeping it simple. I think people have to get their money out of Hong Kong. Okay. People don't realize I've been there a couple times, and maybe we have listeners that have been there.
I've been there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, right? It's like taking all the skyscrapers in Manhattan and cramming them into Central Park. Okay. It's
yeah, well put.
It's an enormous financial center, right? And the world's never seen riots in a financial district. Like you don't see it in downtown New York or in the financial district in London. So people have to get their money out of Hong Kong. I don't know that that's hugely bullish for Bitcoin, but it doesn't make me think that Bitcoin's going to 7,500 either, because there's a whole bunch of people who need to they need to move their money and they need different investments. Okay. Yeah. The second thing about the trade war, which I think people are not paying attention to, and it's got to do with a legitimate risk in the Bitcoin market. And I'm not sure I've got the pronunciation right, but the last two big downdrafts in Bitcoin, I noticed, were connected to articles that came out about the Chinese shipping fentanyl or an opioid, a synthetic opioid to the United States, kind of on purpose, and then using Bitcoin as a way to sort of launder and move the money. The first article came out from a group called Chainalysis. Okay, it's this hot startup in New York. They monitor blockchains. Well known. Okay, you know, and the other thing hit zero hedge, right? So I'm wondering if, you know, the administration in America has got sort of an idea that they want to stop this opioid trafficking, and that creates, you know, that can create headline risk for Bitcoin, where someone says, oh, we don't like crypto because it's involved in money laundering. All right. Now, let me be as careful and as clear as I can. While I know that the opioid epidemic is a huge tragedy, right, and something has to be done about it, stifling Bitcoin probably is not going to be the solution. And it's also a good time to remind everybody that, you know, if criminals aren't using your product, or if criminals don't start innovating with your product, like really fast car engines during Prohibition, if criminals aren't using it, it may not be as innovative as you think. So unfortunately, the crooks are the first people to use it, all right? And of course, it's always a risk that somebody says, okay, you know, Bitcoin is illegal in our country. But I think the fact that it garners that much attention, that politicians have to look at it, is a net positive. right? So does the
Right.
trade war affect Bitcoin? Not as much so. I think the thing in the Middle East is actually more important.
Okay.
So
All
hopefully
right.
that makes sense.
So let's take a question from menti.com. Once again,
Okay.
go to menti.com, menti.com, use the code 154607, 154607. So the question is, what do you think will happen on backed launch day? So basically, what do you think is going to happen when backed launches?
When they launch?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think that's sort of the mirror opposite of what happened when the futures contract came out at the end of 2017, right? So back then it was a top because everybody needed to hedge. And I think when backed comes out, all right, that's going to allow a lot of people to get long who don't necessarily want to do it via futures, like the CME contract. So as soon as you add more vehicles that allow people to get long, when it finally does come out, I think it's got to be constructive. Right?
Yeah, I think so as well.
Back's going to have, it could be like ridiculously constructive.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to Cosmos, which has been one of the best performing altcoins this week or in the last 1 week.
Right. So, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when I think about Cosmos, I think about sort of like one chain talking to another. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
In my mind, it's sort of like, in research, in my opinion, you get paid for imagination. So if we do the show for a while, you're going to hear me say this. In research, you get paid for imagination. And if Facebook is going to try to become like the cryptocurrency used in India, because I know that's what they want to do with it, one of the currencies that they're going to have to use in their index to make it interesting is going to be Bitcoin. So chains are going to have to talk to each other. Now, I'm not a technology guy, but when I saw the bottom in this, I'm like, okay, you know what? The news is out. All right. It took them a while.
So it's bottomed. Cosmos has bottomed, you're saying?
All right. Well, Cosmos has got a little bit of technical work to do before I can officially ring that bell. But I'm not selling this on a rally like any other altcoin. Right? I think if you're a trader, you take a shot at buying dips. A bottom is officially in, to cut to the chase, probably around this 4,100 level. Remember when I was talking about, you got to clear that last area, right? The last congestion zone before the final sort of puke started. All right. If we're clearing 4,100, I think this thing can go right back where it came from. Right. Nothing in the world has changed unless somebody can, tell me otherwise, that, between June and this point in September was just everybody getting flushed out of altcoins because Americans can't trade on certain exchanges anymore. Right. This could go back where it came from. Now, before we get too excited, again, all it's done so far is retrace 23% of a big trend. And that's very typical, right? It goes down, it retraces, everyone gets really excited, and then they get disappointed. All right. So I think if this thing goes above like 4,100, okay, you can start getting pumped up. In the meantime, you can day trade it. If you're long it and you're wondering if you should give up, I would say don't give up. If you're, it's like, should I tax loss sell this or should I wait? I would say wait. Hold it.
Okay, so King Nick has a comment. He's saying Cosmos' next unbounding unstacking event is on September 29th. Over 4 million tokens to get released. There's a good chance it's getting pumped now in anticipation of that dump. Okay, I guess some extra data point.
Right. So again, that actually matches up really well with the chart, right? In other words, if it's still a bear market, right, and unfortunately it is until it takes out 3382, right? This is a normal bear market correction, right? So we don't know, but if there was a dip in Cosmos back down here, I would be like, hey, this could be a buying opportunity, right? So rather than sell the rally, I might be inclined to either buy the dip or just sit and wait to see if it can take out this point.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. So if anybody has any questions or comments on Cosmos or Ethereum or Bitcoin, feel free to just ask on Menti, or even just the comments on YouTube. We are taking those in as well, because people are asking about some other altcoins. But yeah, I mean, for us, we've looked into the technology of Cosmos, and Paresh, our developer, he loves it. We've also looked into the fundamentals as well, and the technology and fundamentals are pretty good. It's definitely one of the better products out there.
Right.
Okay.
And again, I think this is tied to Facebook Libra. Right. One chain's got to talk to another.
Yeah. Now, we know Telegram Ton is also building a competing blockchain protocol to Cosmos. They're also building a blockchain of blockchains, or kind of like the internet of blockchains. Now, we had our team look into it, and they've done an in-depth review. And so far, we're not very bullish on it, mainly being because the team is so anonymous and nobody knows who the developers are. They just put up one commit on GitHub, and that was pretty much it. Nobody knows their background, where they come from, what they've been doing. It's pretty much designed to be the opposite of Facebook in a way, right? It's designed to completely, I think they're trying to, because the founder of Telegram in the past had his company, he was forced to sell and exit by Russia, by the Russian government. So he's very anti-government, or maybe a better term is pro-privacy, or pro-independence. So I think he's building something to kind of do what Libra is doing, but without really abiding to any regulation. And I think that's why maybe the team is very private and anonymous. So it could definitely be disruptive. For us personally, we are concerned that it's very anonymous and nobody knows who the team is. We think that it takes, I mean, Bitcoin was anonymous as well, but I feel like nowadays it's better for people to know who's behind a project and who's backing it. Okay.
That's correct. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me take some quick questions here. So Dragon on Crypto is saying, altcoins chart is finding its support on the 200 weekly AMA. Okay. Then he's saying best thing is no one is talking about altcoins. Okay, so we have one request here from Jono. Are you able to do maybe some additional TA on the side if you have time?
No, well, sure. I have time if you know, I have things I can cover, or if the audience has got something.
Yeah, somebody was asking about Holochain. I'm not sure if that's in TradingView per se, but we can cover some of the other altcoins you have been you've been looking into as well.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't. I would have to get the symbol for that. Okay. Yeah. So, you know,
let's do Binance for now.
Okay. So we can sort of just take a minute here to see how I might look at a market. So, you know, clearly when Binance coin was up here at 44, it was kind of euphoric, right? So when you get euphoria, that usually means that you've had an Elliott wave, 5-wave move. All right. So what I'm searching for now is, okay. So here's how Elliott wave works. You can buy books. It's complicated, but this is how I do it. Okay. There's like the first leg. There's a small second leg. Okay. There's a big third leg that goes straight up. There's an, oh my God, it's over. And there's a holy cow, it's not. Okay. So, all right. That is Elliott wave in 60 seconds. Okay. And then what normally happens is, you know, you can have, just like with Ethereum, right? Remember I was talking about these deep retracements that you can have? Okay. You know, literally, I'm just going to go here. And I'm just going to go, okay, you know, where are we? Where are we?
Mm-hmm.
In Binance Coin. Okay. So right now it's looking like we're maybe headed for this like 62% retracement. Okay. I don't know if you can see this here, but you see the 50% retracement around 23.
Yes.
See how it can't get through that?
Mm-hmm.
These wicks on these candlesticks, if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
So something like this, again, we're looking for those horizontal points, and check it out over here, right? Here was an initial high, right? This big spike low. There's all this volatility that occurred right around just under 20. All right. So, like I said, I don't think you have to be in a big hurry to buy things like this at all, but you definitely want to pay attention if it gets down to 19. All right. Chasing altcoins, Cosmos, that has a positive tone to it, but overall, you have to remember, okay, everybody who got involved in the euphoric phase of Binance Coin is now underwater. This is just,
Right.
in English.
They bought the top.
Right. Everybody, right. They bought the top, and they have to say to themselves, okay, the guys that bought it down here, like Multicoin Capital from Austin, Texas, okay, they're going to hold on to it. They've got it in here. They're not going to sell, okay? But the guys up here may sell at year end tax loss selling. So that could create a situation where altcoins wind up with a fire sale, okay, into the end of the year, right? So Cosmos may do okay, but some of these other coins may get hurt. I don't know if this is one of them, but I know that there's no need to chase upside just yet. That's how I would give you the quick and dirty.
Okay, well said. So Holochain's symbol is HOT, H-O-T. Oh, that does not look good.
Okay, so, all right, so with something like this, there's not a whole lot to say, right? All you can say about this is it's gone back to where it started. So, like, not
Yeah.
knowing what this
Nice and
is,
short.
I would say it's like schoolyard basketball. Whatever this is, the market has declared a do-over. It's like we don't know which is a nice way of saying we don't know what it's worth, so we'll just price it where it started. Mm-hmm. So with something like this, it's less of a TA play, and you got to make a decision on the fundamentals of what it is.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. So yeah, nice and short. It's back to where it began.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a fall from grace.
Right, and that's happened to the best. That's happened to a lot of people. All right. Do we have any more questions on
yes.
altcoins?
Yeah, somebody's asking, can you look into Nuls, N-U-L-S? I'm not sure if that's gonna. Okay, that is on Binance.
Okay, so again, this is back to going all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so it's like a do-over. I think the thing that's interesting about this, honestly, is this does have kind of you can talk about this with TA, I think, because this looks like your classic, remember what we did with Binance Coin, where this is like, oh my God, I can't believe how much I like it. And this is like, oh my God, I have to call the TV talk show because I'm so upset.
Yeah.
Right? Seriously. Unless there's something fundamentally wrong with this, or there's going to be another heave below here, this has the type of structure where it's closer to where it's near an end. Now, I don't know if this is the type of thing that goes to zero or not, but I'm definitely interested based on the structure that I see.
When you say it has an end, you mean that it's done and going to zero, or that you mean it's almost bottoming out?
Good question. What I mean is it could have like one final heave lower, and that could bring the down move to an end.
Okay, the down move to an end. Okay.
Right. In other words, like in Ethereum, right? I mean, if you take out the price if you take out this price, then you may have a lot of people giving up, and that could be the opportunity if this is if this is worth looking at, right, fundamentally speaking.
Okay, so Ryan Smith is saying, can you look into XRP, Ripple?
Okay, so the big question with Ripple is this a cryptocurrency? All right, the answer is I don't know. I know two things about Ripple. Kind of once a year, they do a pump.
Yeah.
It pumps for whatever reason. The last pump was in September of last year at this time. So I just have to make a note of that as a technical analyst.
Yeah, I'll add to that because actually I do know some context or some information on Ripple. Their market maker, from what I've been told, the team sells tokens daily. Right? They call this programmatic liquidation. So they get from their reserve, their token supply, and they sell 1% of the daily trading volume every single day. And I even though it's just 1%, I think that may factor in terms of why Ripple is dormant for a while. Then out of nowhere, it will just pop. So maybe the market maker just kind of stops selling, or something happens, or there's big news. But I know that the team, I think an article came out a month or two ago about how they've sold over hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Ripple this year alone. So they definitely use that as a way to kind of fund their operations.
Right, and I remember being at South by Southwest in Austin, and I heard the Ripple CEO speak, and he's up on the stage, and he says, "I have absolutely no idea what determines the value of our token." Right? I have no idea how the market values our token. Now, you would never hear that from a CEO of a company, right, who has a publicly traded stock, and they certainly better know what will move their token and what drives their stock and what drives value. Right. So I think he's right in that, this is this odd supply and demand thing. If they don't know what it's worth, of course they're going to continue to sell it, right? And I think these guys have to deal with JP Morgan coin and Libra. Common sense, right?
Yeah. I mean the token isn't really used much, right? That's why Ripple gets lots of criticism from the community in the crypto space, because besides being for the banks, the token isn't really needed per se.
Right. Ripple is more of a tech company that sells technology to banks versus a token, right? And you've seen incredible bear markets in similar companies that have great technology, but their token is not needed for the technology.
Right.
All
so right, well,
it doesn't make. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're almost at the top of the hour. So if anybody has any last questions for Bill before he has to head out, definitely ask them. Okay, let's see. Okay, King Nick is saying, sounds like the CEO was speaking legalese in order to claim he had no idea how its price is affected, so that XRP wouldn't be classified as a security. Possibly.
Well, possibly it came off to me as a genuine puzzlement, right? Which I took note of.
And Franz is saying there's a difference between Ripple and XRP. Yes, yeah, there's a difference. So Ripple, the company, and XRP, the token. Yeah, what the company isn't really using the token per se. I mean, even me, I always get confused how they actually use their token and what the actual use case is, because it seems it's not really used.
Right, and this sort of dialogue is the perfect reason why, as a chart guy, I tend to stay out of Ripple.
Okay, all right. So one person is saying on Mentimeter, can you look into Digitex, DGTX? He's saying they're launching on November 30th and the price is moving up gradually. I'm not sure if that's on TradingView, but we can check and see if that, okay, it is.
Digitech Futures?
I guess so. DGTX.
Well, I think on this one, I think this is something that we might have to come back to you on, because I don't want to chart the wrong instrument.
Yeah. Okay, somebody's saying, Rick Hat is asking, why do you think 90% of all ICOs failed? Most failed or are barely alive, trading on 50K volume a day. I mean, I would say most of ICOs failed because they weren't really needed, right? We got into the ICO mania where everything was going up 5x, 10x, 100x, and entrepreneurs just really saw an opportunity to raise capital without giving away any equity, and didn't really have any plan forward in terms of how their token would actually be used or have any utility. And the fact that you have no utility, and I would say the risk to reward ratio back in 2017 and early 2018 was there to a point it justified getting into ICOs. But now the fact that there's a lot more risk and the rewards have decreased to a point where you're actually losing money in most ICOs or even some IEOs, that the risk to reward ratio just does not make sense for any investor to participate in an ICO. Bill, feel free to add any comment to that.
Right. I think the future is going to be securities token offerings, because that's what they were thinking with ICOs. That just wasn't what they were. Right. In other words,
right.
I want to raise some capital, and I want to give you equity on a digitally traded blockchain platform. Right. Instead of giving you stock, I want to give you stock in my company, but it's a token. Right. So if my company does great, I do great. Whereas with ICOs, the company could have done great. I mean, it could have been a scam, which is obviously a problem, but the company could have done great. But if the token never got used, the token went to zero and the company's fine. The next round, it's going to be tied together. Company good, token or STO good.
Right. Yeah. Well said. Well said. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap that up. If you guys like this content, this video, and also Bill, definitely feel free to give us a thumbs up, a like, and reshare with your friends, your community, other investors you know in the crypto space. Let's get the word out there. We're glad to have Bill on the team. He brings lots of experience and expertise from capital markets, Wall Street, right? As mentioned before, right? JP Morgan, Charles Schwab, Goldman Sachs, Morningstar, a long list of just great companies you've worked for. And now he's covering the crypto space, and we're glad to have his expertise. All right. If you guys have anything else, feel free to just post in the comments. We'll take that and we'll make sure to answer those questions in our Telegram group. Just go to Token Metrics on Telegram. Just search Token Metrics or just go to our site, tokenmetrics.com, and join the Telegram channel on there. Follow us on all the other social media platforms, and be sure to sign up for Token Metrics to get an email whenever we launch. All right. Any last words, Bill?
Ian, it's great to be with you. It's great to talk shop. It's going to be a big day on Monday. Looking forward to helping you and everybody who needs help out there.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.